Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for staying with me. This is the last session today, so I wish you are already having a beer next to the beach. Luckily, it's not a great weather. Let me try to understand who is the first time here in Šibenik, and especially in Solaris. Can you please raise your hands? Who is the first time here? Oh, great. Yeah, so for me, I'm not the first time here. As you heard, I'm from Šibenik, and Solaris has a very special place in my heart. I took a walk this morning by the beach, and it got reminded me on my childhood. I used to come here for 10 years, every single day. I played water polo in Hotel Ivan swimming pool, and this is my team. After winning the national championship, of Croatian national championship, and this is me right over there. I lost some hair. I got a belly. It took us 7 years to win the gold medal on national championship, and it's very difficult. So each year you have to practice for a year, you go to championship, and when we started we ended up like last over the first few years. And you have to be consistent, you have to work hard. On the way there we lost some great players, some new players joined, but this prepared me for something that I did not expect is going to come, and that is the second valley of death in software as a service companies. And that's phase from 1 to 10 million. That's a phase where many software as a service companies really struggle. They stop growing. There's so many problems. And although we are still in the valley, I think we are like 50% on our way out of it. And today I would love to share a few lessons that I learned staying in the valley, and I think this can really help some people that are there. So what happens in this phase? You just kind of grow, you start not to fill in your goals. The revenue does not follow the costs, so the costs start to be much higher. Then your go-to-marketing machine doesn't scale properly, and you just kind of have credibility lost because your team starts to challenge you. Are we in a good company? Is everything good? And one of the first things, I'm not going to speak today about scaling the go-to-market machine. That's definitely very critical. I think there's something that's even more important in order to get out of the valley, and that's the leadership transformation. So the leadership transformation starts with a founder. So if you wish to get out of the valley, I think you should first transform the way you lead the company. So the key problem is that you as a founder, you are a builder. So you are not a leader. And you got different advices. So the advices that you get is like, you have to build a system, you have to hire people, and that's it. That's very simple. But in reality, it's actually extremely difficult to build a system. And you don't know how to build a system. And you're not motivated to build a system. So what you as a founder are motivated with is, you want to close huge opportunity, you want to compete, you want to win one more battle. So you're not motivated at all with building the execution systems. So on one side, you're not motivated, you don't know how to do it, and then on the other side, you have extreme financial pressure, especially if you are a bootstrapped company. So in order to get out of this, you have to evolve as a leader. And what happens to you is that you start to feel that you are not able to achieve goals, and then you jump into the pool, you start to play the game with your team, and you start convincing yourself, okay, next year I'm going to let the team play, but you again and again and again jump into the water, you help your team, you score the final goals, and that's how they actually win the game. And there's no way out of this. So what you have to do as a founder, you have to simply start being stop being the captain of the team, and you have to start being the coach of the team. So this is what needs to change in your mindset as a founder. You have to stop expecting every time when the team gets in a difficult position that you would jump in when the score is tied, and that you would score some final goals and move the team forward. So last year I decided, so on the rational level I understand that I have to think long term, but on the emotional level I'm a bit afraid, and that is because I'm not sure what's going to happen. I have a huge pressure because of the financial situation. So last year I decided our company is not going to grow because I want to focus on the long term. I want to build a system, and I want to help my team to learn how to execute and get the company forward. So I think that's the best decision I made as a coach. And then what a great coach does, a great coach actually builds great teams. And this is what you've been told. So you have to hire people under yourself. You have to let them run the company, and you just have to stay out of their way. But that's probably one of the worst pieces of advice that you can take, because it should come with a special note. And that special note is you should be very careful. It will take time, and don't try to do it at home. And what I did, of course, is I tried it at home, and it didn't work. So I just hired people, I just delegated, and like 9 to 12 months into the game, what I saw is the company just collapsed. And then I need to get back, I need to replace that leader, and I lost a year. So what you actually don't understand as a founder, you don't understand that you don't know how to build a team. What you know is, you know how to hire departmental leads. And there's a huge difference. So the leadership team helps you run the company together with you, and the departmental heads, they optimize for the local performance. So they optimize for the performance in their department. So what happens when you actually have departmental heads, then they are not able to agree with you, and then the company goes in all different directions. And you start to think it's their fault, but it's actually not. You don't know how to build a team, and you need to start doing that. So what you need to do, you need to explain to your team, okay, so now we are running the company together. You have to help them, get them out of the operational work. You have to help them and build their strategic capacity so that they can help you run the company together with you. And that's a huge difference. So we as founders, we don't know how to do it, and actually we are not that motivated to do it because we want to jump into the pool and score final goals. That's why we are founders. And it's very important to explain that it takes time to do it. It's just this transformation that needs to happen in you as a leader. It takes time. You need to learn how to build a team. You need to shift towards running the company with a team, and it really takes time. So it's not like I'm going to delegate, everything's going to work in like 3 to 6 months. It takes like 2 to 3 years until you manage to do it. What also happens is you create great plans, and then you start to see that you're not able to fulfill these plans. And what people start to think is that is because you as a founder, you're probably, you used to move mountains. You can do so many different things, and you're probably one of the, among the best players. So what people around you start to think is that's probably because you're missing great strategy. And so then what you do, you start to create strategies, people strategy, go-to-market strategy, this strategy, that strategy. But then, like after 3 to 6 months, you see that you still are not able to fulfill your plan. And that is because it's not about the strategy. It is about the execution. And it is because you as a founder, you know how to execute for yourself, but you don't know how to execute through a team of leaders, and you don't have a system. So what you should do is, you should have just enough strategy. So I'm not saying that strategy is not important. You should have just enough strategy, which is like 3-year rough plan, plus 2 to 3 core important initiatives. And then the second part is important. Every quarter, revisit the strategic initiatives and take some slices of it into the execution. And it is important that you create the system of execution, because otherwise your company would never get out of the valley. What also happens, the company starts to grow. The revenue is not following the growth, and the costs just expand. You are in a potential cash problem. So this creates a huge problem and huge pressure on a founder to start to be a captain again, to jump into the pool, to score, but you just need to resist this. And there are a few things that can help you on your way there. So what helps us is there are alternative funding sources, like European Union funds, that help us move forward. There are also some bank loans that you can get. Like you can get €1 million or €2 from the bank. You don't need to have collateral to do it. And what's also important is, because you have to help your team with the financial discipline, because if you don't teach your team about the financial discipline, then the pressure on you to jump into the pool would be even higher. So you have to help them with financial literacy. You have to request that each investment has a known return of investment. Otherwise, you're going to end up into cash problem, and then you will be tempted to jump into the pool once again and to start playing with your team. And that's not what you should be doing. You should be a coach that is leading your team out of the valley. And finally, at some point, because as a founder, you start to hire, the company grows, the people get further away from you, the behavior starts to deteriorate, and the performance starts to degrade. And what I learned recently in my career is behavior and correcting behavior is the key for performance. So this is, I didn't get it. I just started to figure it out like over the last 2 to 3 years. And all out of a sudden you start to hear in the company, it's not my job, it's not my role, it's us and them. And you start to feel, but you don't get it, that this has a huge impact on the execution of your company. So you have to help your leaders establish the accountability-driven culture where you set performance, but not only performance, but also behavioral standards. And you have to create clear tasks and responsibilities, request, demand from, and demand from your employees in order to succeed with the execution. So let me summarize once again. So in order to get out of the valley, you have to transform the leadership in your company. So first, you have to evolve as a leader, and you have to change yourself from being a builder to becoming a leader, which is not an easy task because you are motivated with scoring goals and not with leading teams, and you don't know how to do it. The second thing is you need to build a team of leadership team. And that's not an easy task to do because you were just never taught how to do it. And these two things are fundamental if you wish to get out of that valley. Then, in order to make sure you execute properly, you have to have just enough strategy to keep you going into the right direction, but you have to implement systematic execution where you track the execution of the leaders and where they track the execution of the people that they lead. On top of that, you have to be very financially disciplined because staying in the valley and doing this transformation, it just takes a lot of time. So I would advise you to try to find some alternative sources like European Union funds, bank loans, and try to help your team become rational about all investments that you need to do. And finally, create the accountability culture, which sets the proper standards not only for performance, but also for behaviors of your people. Thank you.
Any questions for Mata?
Hello. Just asking, would you do it all at once, or would you do it in phases, sector by sector, or something like that?
How do you mean?
When you say trying to be a leader and giving responsibility to other people within the company for them to take decisions about leading the company, would you do it at once for all of them, or would you do it just in phases, like financial first, finances?
I get it. Yeah. I don't think it's possible to go from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. I think it's the transformation that takes some time. It takes you to change your mindset. Then in parallel, it takes you to help build leaders under you. It also takes time, and not everyone is in the same position. And the same thing is with different things that you need to delegate, like financial decisions, budget. So I would say that it should go in phases. Absolutely.
I need to run.
So I played water polo and I have the belly and I lost the hair, so I feel
Thank you.
In this transition from to leadership mindset, what was the most difficult for you, and what helped you overcome this difficulty?
Yeah, the most difficult thing for me is how to get out of being motivated by winning a large 7-figure deal to build the system, which is boring. Because if I'm motivated building the systems, I wouldn't be a founder. So, and then I needed to stop being captain of the team, and that was a difficult thing that I needed to do. I would say that these two things are extremely difficult because you have to just let your team lose a game, a season, if you wish to become a coach. And that's the key. The founder is a coach and not the captain of the team. And that's a huge difference.
Okay, super.
Would you be willing to share a little bit, maybe high level, how to execute strategy? Maybe some
thank
kind
you.
of system or...
Yeah, so we are still working on our system. That's maybe because I'm not the most motivated person in the company to do it, although I started to switch. I think you have to have just enough strategy, and that's like 3-year rough plan, which tells you customers, market, ICPs, and then 12 to 18 months, 3 key initiatives that are just gonna leapfrog the company. And that's on a high level basis about the strategy. And then when you get into the execution of the strategy, I think quarterly you revisit together with your team the slices, and you take the slices, the most important things of these 3 core long-term initiatives, together with executing the operational objectives. And you need to have like monthly follow-ups, otherwise your team wouldn't execute. I mean, you wouldn't execute.
I have another one. Sorry. Being a coach of the team, does it require your prior assessment of a team and speaking sport, in sport language, asking for if you're aware that some person is not maybe capable of doing the thing, maybe changing him in advance or not?
Thank you. That's a good question. So I think assessment is definitely required. You should try to help that person and build his strategic capability. But unfortunately, some people wouldn't succeed. So yeah, you should definitely try, but not trying. Yeah. Yeah.
Then thank you, Mate.
Thank you.
And thank you all.